War trailer has dropped. Finally, I'm Josh. This is the Den of Nerds. I'm joined with two awesome nerds to discuss all the craziness that went on in the trailer and some of the trailer or the craziness that didn't go on in the trailer that we're going to speculate about. Rob McDonald is here. Rob, tell the people a little bit about yourself and what was your favorite Marvel character?
Let's start off with favorite Marvel character. I always like that. It's this guy right here. Iron Man himself.
Nice.
He's you gotta love Robert Downey Jr. in this portrayal of Iron Man, so he's amazing. I am Rob McDonald. You'll know me as a frequent contributor on James's Rebel Scum podcast, and I also just like talking movies and stuff.
Hex yes, and we're gonna get this guy on more Den of Nerds videos talking about cool comic book stuff. James Razile is here. Barely needs an introduction. I collaborate with James all the time, but James, for the couple people out there that don't know who you are, tell the people about yourself.
I am James Razile. I host Rebel Scum podcast, but more than that, I am the guy who has seen Justice League and not Thor Ragnarok.
Oh, God. Why did he have to go there? You know what I mean? Why did he have to do it? So, yes, guys, the Avengers Infinity War trailer dropped. This thing is so hyped. Let me just talk about this for just a second here. The Infinity War itself, the movies, I'm still considering them kind of part one and part two, are a huge freaking deal. Marvel Cinematic Universe, this unprecedented Goliath of a thing in cinema these days. It's just crazy what they've been able to accomplish. So much fun stuff going on with all of these movies. The portrayal of these characters, we've grown attached to a lot of them for a decade now. 10 years of filmmaking is going to culminate in these two next Avengers films. Now, the Avengers Infinity War trailer itself was shown at D23 in some capacity. I think there was 3,000 people in that auditorium. It blew up the internet. I actually had a huge video hit around there. I didn't know how big this whole thing was going to be around that time, but it blew up. People were talking about it, really, really excited. Then they showed the trailer again at San Diego Comic-Con in front of like 6,000 other people. Now, what's interesting here is for all of those people that got shown it, there's surprisingly little footage of it online. Lately, you've been able to find a little bit of leaked stuff here and there, but it's all really crappy footage. It's not really all put together. And Disney's been really good about cracking down on people that share that kind of stuff. So this is our first real look as a worldwide audience at this trailer, a little tease at what is to come in this film. So, Rob, I just want to know right off the bat, man, what was your raw reaction to the trailer itself, and just, what were your thoughts as you watched it for the first time?
So my first time, and literally the thing I was thinking for most of yesterday, was that how much of a trailer was this trailer going to be? Where is it going to have like stock footage and footage from previous stuff? Because I knew that one of the big things that they're doing with this movie is they're bringing everything to a head, right? It's literally next year is the 10-year anniversary of the MCU from the first time when Iron Man came out. So I was thinking, it's like, oh, is this more trailer going to be like more 50-50, like 50% old footage, 50% new footage, something like that? But I was pleasantly surprised that there was pretty much no old footage at all. In this trailer. The beginning part seemed like a point where they could have put in old footage over top of the voiceover of all the characters mentioning that big line from the original Avengers movie, but no, they put in all new visuals. Right, you got to see Black Widow with her blonde hair. You got to see the way a whole bunch of characters look now that they're different. They got new suits, and they Vision now can look like a human being. So that was one of the big things. And one of the other big things is every time I'm watching this trailer, I've watched it a few times already, the main thing that I find myself always humming and having in my head is the fact that they brought back Alan Silvestri to do the Avengers theme. And we had the old Avengers theme from the very first movie. So that was huge. I love Alan Silvestri as a composer. So that's the thing that's in my head right now as I'm speaking.
That's awesome. James, what was your raw reaction to the trailer the first time you watched it?
I liked it. I think I had one similar to yours where I thought it felt more like a teaser trailer than a full-blown trailer, even though it's 2 minutes and like 42 seconds or something. So it is kind of long, but it's short. But yesterday when they announced it, I was like, I wonder how they're going to convey what the hell this thing is, because there's 900 superheroes in this movie, I think. I might be off by one or two, but there's like a bazillion superheroes. Are they going to show that in the trailer? And they did. They showed a gazillion superheroes, and I think The emphasis was on Thanos in this trailer, which I thought was really smart, and it makes me wonder if that will be how. I think you brought this up months ago, maybe one of your videos or to me, I can't remember, but where this will be basically Thanos' perspective, this movie almost from his point of view, which I think if you're gonna deal with this and this many characters, I think that makes a lot of sense because then all the characters now they have one common goal and a threat, and so their individual personalities don't need to shine through in this if Thanos is the character that we're following.
Yeah, that's very true. I mean, I guess for my first reactions, like I guess I wanted way more, you know what I mean? Probably selfishly as a fan, I was like, oh man, because we've heard I mean, this is not the trailer they got at Comic-Con or D23. So we've heard that there's just so much more footage out there. We've seen some of it leaked. Even earlier this week, there was a scene that was leaked that's not in this trailer. Not to mention the fact that this trailer leads in with a little bit of footage we've seen before, and definitely like this idea of the Avengers were formulated to do this. They're sort of breaking up that speech that Samuel L. Jackson has in the first movie and allowing other people to kind of play into it. So the thing is, it's not just straight up Infinity War trailer footage. You know what I mean? It's a build into it. It is truly kind of a teaser, but it's feature trailer length. So I guess my first reaction was, oh man, I want way more. But then my very next reaction was how good Thanos looks. Like, I think one of the reasons that this trailer is taking so long to come out, because Feige and company has sort of said, oh, well, the way the trailer was put together for D23, it plays for a D23 audience. I mean, you've got the hardcore sweaties in there, the hardcore nerds. They're not going to be upset at a lackluster CGI here and there, right? But for the average movie-going audience, if you show something that's not finished, it sort of tarnishes the brand. It sort of tarnishes what that looks like, what that represents, and stuff like that. So to me, that's the reason it's taking so long, is because they're going in and doing like 4K level effects on this film, and they have the money, you know, they're not going to worry about it, and they have time. So I guess seeing Thanos and just like his skin, like looks like real skin, you know what I mean? Like it's just his face, the little twitches when he first comes through the portal with the Tesseract, and just kind of, you notice like this thing he does, like this thing with his face where he's just kind of, dude, it like felt real. I was like, oh my god, that's Thanos, like a real depiction of Thanos. So that's kind of what popped off to me right away. I was like, oh man, that's pretty amazing. But the next thing I want to go into is the things that sort of like stood out to us, or what do you think was like something that jumped out as maybe a plot point, or something that was like a string of an idea that took you to a theory or something like that. Let's get into slight speculation territory. So, Rob, I'll start with you. What jumped out at you, man? What was like that thing in the trailer? Was there a moment for you?
I wouldn't say it was a moment. It was just like a multiple visuals that just kind of like brought some things into perspective. Like, for example, like let's say if we're fast forwarding before Thor Ragnarok, you know, we still have one Infinity Stone to go, and after Thor Ragnarok, we still have one Infinity Stone still to be revealed. And I kind of feel like this trailer, with all the stuff that's focused on Wakanda in this trailer, kind of all but confirms that this final Infinity Stone is on Wakanda in some type of way. Maybe in some way leading to why they have so much good technology. It could be some type of version of the Infinity Stone that's powering all this technology. So yeah, like that's the number one thing that is, because like going into Thor Ragnarok, I would have said to myself, hey, maybe the last Infinity Stone is inside Hela, or it's inside Thor's hammer Mjolnir. Right. But now I think it's pretty much confirmed that I think it's in Wakanda, serving some purpose.
Yep, I dig it. We'll get into that a little bit later. It's actually one of the things I want to get into as far as like speculation, because I think that's pretty much confirmed. There's only one other reason I could think of that Thanos is giving that much attention to Wakanda, and we'll get into that in a second. But James, I want to know, man, what was the most interesting thing? What jumped out at you? What took you down speculation road when it came to this trailer?
I was like, Thor's in space? That's crazy. When did that happen?
This guy hasn't seen Thor Ragnarok, for everyone watching.
I'm just joking.
I can't even believe he threw that at me right before we hit record. He wouldn't be on this show if I knew.
No, for me it was there's two things. One, Vision looking like Paul Bettany, and the other one was Banner beside the Hulkbuster arm. I think he's just repairing it or something for Stark in that one. But I've said this a few times to you and to I really, I don't know if he will, but I want Tony Stark to die. Is that selfish? I mean, I don't want him to. I don't want anyone to die. But I mean, the character. I think for the characters in this universe going forward, especially Peter Parker, I would love to see Tony Stark die. I don't think that part of the trailer is anything to do with that, especially if you look at Mark Ruffalo's reaction. It looks like he's in a conversation. But or maybe he is. I don't know. I'm looking at it right now. Sorry. That caught me, though. It's like, oh, because we see the Hulkbuster later on, and he's got both arms. So either it's being repaired, or this is after something has happened to Tony Stark. Because Tony Stark's also not in that big chase on Wakanda either at the end, where we've seen War Machine and pretty much everyone else. So
yeah. No, definitely. So for me, a lot of stuff jumped out. I mean, like, I literally pieced together, look, this is what I do. I'm super nerdy. So I pieced together, like, the timeline of the movie. So I know the exact plot now. So we'll get into that in a second. But I think the thing that struck me most, and I watched it a bunch. Like, I watched, like, 3 or 4 times right in a row, kind of preparing for the show. And one of the things was Doctor Strange. So Doctor Strange has a couple of different moments in this trailer. He's pretty present throughout. And, like, the one thing I think was the moment where he sort of puts his spells off. So he has those 2 kind of shieldy hand sort of spells, and he just sort of puts them down as he's watching everything just happen. And I think he's making a realization, because one thing that happens in Thor Ragnarok is that you realize how strong Doctor Strange has become. He is insanely powerful and insanely knowledgeable when it comes to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the multiverse, who's powerful, who's not. The dude is a big gun. You know what I mean? Like a legitimate big gun for us at this point. So that was interesting. I think that when he puts the spells away, I truly believe that what that indicates is that moment of clarity where he's like, well, we're not going to win this way. You know what I mean? We're not going to beat them this way. And just because of some of the rumors we've heard about Avengers 4 and some of the things that are going on there, I think what is happening here is that he is going to do a time loop or do something to split off time before Thanos comes and kicks all their butts, man, because I think that I don't think they're getting out of this clean. You know what I mean? So that's kind of where my head is at with it. But let's break down. I want to break down a few shots here real quick and ask you guys what you think about them, and then we'll go into the odds, the over/under on people dying, which James is so all about. But the first shot I want to go to is this shot called, to me, I call this the Hulk hole. And we're going to transition. I'm going to put it up here. Now, this is a shot of Doctor Strange on the left, Wong on the right, and a hole behind them in the sanctum high above. Now, the thing about this shot is it corresponds to a different shot, and we know that that is Bruce Banner lying on the ground of the Sanctum Sanctorum, and that Doctor Strange and Wong are going to have a rude awakening when a Hulk, or more correctly a Banner, is thrown through the sanctum onto the ground. So, Rob, I want to go to you. What does this mean? What does it mean that Bruce Banner is thrown through the sanctum? What do you think about that?
I have a feeling that it probably has something to do with, as we know, this will be a spoiler for James, but not for everybody else. The way Ragnarok ends, Hulk is with Thor wherever he is. So there's got to be something that's going to bring him, because I have a feeling that obviously Hulk is going to come to Earth way before Thor will be in this movie. Yes. Thor is going to be out there doing other things. So either it's going to be a version as to what happens to the ship that Thor and Hulk are on at the end of Thor Ragnarok, and then that leads him to coming to Earth in some type of way. So I don't know if it's going to be him just literally crashing through, like, and literally arriving to Earth that way, or if he's going to be, round one for Thanos when Thanos comes to Earth. So I figure it's probably one of those two options, but I think I'm probably leaning a little bit more towards the latter, because, again, a part of the thing that a lot of the shows that we like watching is that you show the power of a character by having him beat one of the strongest characters or the strongest character on the good side. So seeing Thanos and Hulk go one-on-one as like the first fight for Thanos seems very logical to me.
Yep, I can totally get behind that, James. Now you don't. I mean, that was sort of spoiled for you, but I think that you kind of could have put that together. Hulk and Thor are hanging out in space, headed towards Earth at the end of Thor Ragnarok. This shot with a hole in the Sanctum Sanctorum, Banner being thrown through it. Tell me what that means to you, man. What does that? What do you think about that?
It goes directly to that footage from, I think it was Comic-Con, that leaked online for about 4.5 minutes. I was able to watch that footage. And I think one of the first shots was Thor flying through space, landing on the ship of the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yep.
Right? And so I don't know if we'll see. So something obviously splits them up in space. Whether or not we get to see what that is, I'm not sure. But I would imagine that this is the second half of that Thor incident that we saw.
Yep.
So Thor goes this way, Hulk goes this way, and that's how it. That's where I would take that one. Having not seen Thor Ragnarok, that's where I would go with it.
Yep. No, I 100% agree. I mean, you're saying a lot of the stuff that I'm thinking, right? Like, so here's the thing. Symbolically, there's a couple of different things going on. To me, I mean, I'm a comic book writer, right? So, like, I kind of know these tropes or whatever. But, like, to me, this is significant in several different ways. First of all, this is the sanctum. This is very secure. This is a place from which Doctor Strange conducts all sorts of tasks and watches over the multiverse, specifically Earth, right? He's watching over Earth, but he has to keep an eye on all these threats from throughout the multiverse. When we see Thor enter the sanctum in Thor Ragnarok, he's no longer in control. That place is prison, lockdown, supermax, magic town. That is Doctor Strange's thing. So to have anything thrown into the sanctum is like sort of a message, like, you know what I mean? Sort of like a old gangster, Chicago style brick through the window sort of thing. Like, you're not safe. Don't feel safe. So that's the first thing that I get. It gets me fucking goosebumps. Feeling like Thanos is going to literally be showing the big dick right away. Also, yeah, he's beaten the bejesus out of Hulk. The way I see it going down, Hulk and Thor are going to try to stop Thanos. That's the Sanctuary 2 at the end of Thor Ragnarok. They go to try to stop him, and they get shut down. Thor gets left into space. Hulk gets thrown to Earth where he converts to Banner, slams through the Sanctum. So it's just like a super big power play by Thanos. And like this, you know, the Russo brothers said this is going to have the vibe of a heist movie. And to me, this is the first aspect of that heist movie. This is like that first scene. Get your adrenaline going. Like Hulk beaten up, boom, thrown to Earth. Not just thrown to Earth, thrown through the Sanctum Sanctorum. One of the things I love about the Thanos character is that he is an intelligent being. He is not just a badass. He is strong. He is smart. He's arguably wise. He's one of the coolest villains in comics ever. So I just think like the Hulk throw thing, that is going to be so significant. We see later in the trailer, by the way, that Iron Man is there with Doctor Strange. And I think what's happening is he essentially knows that Banner, he like gets triggered by maybe some satellites or something and realizes that Banner comes there. It's the catalyst for Stark to show up there and for Wong and all those guys to sort of be their thing. But I think the pacing here is going to be at a pretty quick clip. Now, I want to go to another image. This image right here is of Loki walking through dead bodies, okay? Now, I see some interesting things here. I see a mask. I see some tattoos on this guy. This guy has armor here. This person is in, like, robes and whatnot. I think it's pretty safe to say, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Rob, this is the Asgardian ship. These are dead Asgardians. What do you think?
You know, yeah, absolutely. I mean, part of the most interesting thing about this is that we know that Thor goes one way and he winds up with the Guardians. Hulk goes another way, which is to Earth, and winding up with all the heroes there. And it's like, where is Loki going to be? And out of all the places to be on this ship, if it's still intact for the most part, which it seems to be, it's literally him there with the rest of the Asgardians, and who knows who's left. Who knows who's still alive? I mean, I could probably guess on a few of them that are also still alive that survived with him. So, but it's very poignant again, because what you're saying is that it's showing the damage of what Thanos is going to do. The fact that Thanos just seemingly, whatever happens to Banner, just launched him through the Sanctum Sanctorum and just blew a hole in it there. And on top of that, the remaining Asgardians that we had left after Thor Ragnarok, Thanos has killed a lot of them as well. So, yeah, it's again just piling up like the body count as to what we're gonna get, because it's like Hela killed a lot of people in Thor Ragnarok. This might be even higher on the death scale for Thanos and the amount of people that are going to be at stake in this movie.
Yep. James, I want to go to you. What do you think about all these dead bodies? I mean, right off the bat, my question is, if they're in space, like, how are they able to just walk around? You know what I mean? Like, is there, like, what exactly is going on here? Does the Sanctuary 2 have the ability to create a fake atmosphere or something like that? Is it because of the reality gem or something like that? What do you think's going on here? These are obviously dead Asgardians, right?
Yeah, well, because what you guys just said, I think is absolutely right. It has to be. I'm amazed that this movie's tying into Thor Ragnarok as much as it is, to be honest. When I first saw this scene, I didn't obviously know about that or think about that. But because what's really striking to me is why is Loki holding it up? Like, is he pleading? After what you guys just said, Thanos killing everybody, is Loki now pleading for his life?
Yeah, I think he is. I mean, I'll get into my thoughts on it in a second. He's sort of pleading for sure. He's also in debt, dude. He's in debt to Thanos. And, like I said again, I get a real mafioso feeling. You done the Godfather wrong, Loki. You know what I mean? Like, dude,
yeah.
He put the scepter in your hand. He gave you an Infinity Stone, and you were supposed to go handle business. And so, I guess I'll just go right into it. So with what happened in Thor Ragnarok, we know that the Tesseract is there still on Asgard, and it would appear that Loki's plan was sort of to take the Tesseract, to have it as a bargaining chip for Thanos, or perhaps all along he's thinking about his commitment to Thanos. We really don't know like what kind of headspace, like where Loki is exactly, but he's definitely indebted to Thanos. And I would not be surprised, like, he's giving that to him. I'm sure he's pleading, like, don't kill all of these people. We know because of Thor Ragnarok that Loki at least cares about the Asgardian people. He shows up on that ship. He helps them escape, helps to solidify their escape. So he cares about Asgardians. As twisted as he is inside, he cares about Asgardians. I think what is going to happen is they all are there. Thor and Hulk try it their way. It doesn't work. Thanos whoops that ass, throws Hulk to Earth, destroys a lot of this ship. Maybe not all of it. I think what's going to happen is maybe shots across the bridge, or like a certain section of it gets destroyed, or perhaps it's destroyed by Thanos literally throwing Thor through it, which would be sick. But here's the big issue for me. We find out in Thor Ragnarok that this lightning ability, the power that we thought was Mjolnir, right, is actually a power indicative of Thor. Thor has that power. Now, tied to that power is the Asgardian people. So his power flows from Asgard, but we sort of learn in this sort of hippie sort of way that the people of Asgard are Asgard, not Asgard itself. So Thor still has his lightning ability, but it is linked to these people being alive. So, does this have something to do with it? Does Thanos realize this? Does Loki realize this? And that's why he's bargaining, because he knows he needs to keep these people alive so that his brother and himself maybe can have their power. Rob, I want to go to you. What do you think?
I mean, if we're talking about whether Loki is doing it for Thor to keep his power, that in general just seems to be too, like, Loki's a very self-centered person to me. He's not somebody that's really thinking about everybody and the good of everybody. Like, my idea is, in Thor Ragnarok, there is that moment where Loki is in the in Odin's vault, and when he's going to go put in the third act, like into motion. I'm not going to spoil it too much so James can enjoy some of it, but we all know what I'm talking about when he's in the vault and then he's putting basically the end of the third act into motion. And he walks by the cube, he walks by a whole bunch of the other things, and it's not within my idea is that he probably grabbed a whole lot of that stuff and kept it with him. And I feel like that the cube and all this type of stuff, he's just keeping it for a rainy day as to whatever happens. And just so it turns out is that I don't believe that he's in any way loyal to Thanos. I think it's more just kind of like he's taking this stuff again to just use it on a rainy day. And the fact that the ship is about to be destroyed and he might be killed by Thanos, it's just his bargaining chip to just say, hey, just leave these people, take what you want, and just let us survive. And that's about it. But I don't think that he's necessarily thinking in that type of way where it's like, hey, I want to keep these people alive so Thor has his power still. Right. I think it's just more him surviving and his people surviving in some type of way. But I do still think that he's all about Loki in the end.
What do you think, James? Is Loki all about Loki? Is he handing this thing for self-preservation to Thanos, or does he care about these people? What's your gut tell you?
I think this is the beginning of the movie and he kicks the bucket right away. He is the first one gonzo in this movie.
Damn.
I'm sorry. Well, Thanos has it, that stone at the end of the trailer, right? That's one of the ones that he has in his glove. It's that one. So.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's very fair.
Look, Loki's gone. So we're going to find out that everyone on that ship is pretty much dead. Thanos is causing a whole bunch of destruction. Yeah. And Loki's going to be like, I will give you this if you spare my life and the life of Billy over here or whatever. Yeah. And Thanos is like, nope, bang, boom, boom, kills him. And now he has it.
Oh, yeah, and you know what I love about that? And, like, it would break a lot of our hearts because we love Loki. Like, Loki's the best villain they have. Tom Hiddleston, God bless you. God bless you, Tom Hiddleston. Your Loki is incredible. But that would really tear our hearts out and yet still not really affect the chessboard, really. Because you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, Loki, although very strong, wasn't necessarily someone you can count on if you're the Avengers. If you're the heroes trying to form this coalition, not exactly somebody that you're going to be super pumped to have in. I want to address the chat a little bit. We got some really active people in here. You guys are awesome. I'm going to try to get to all your questions, but we want to keep the flow of the show. I'm sure you know how it goes. This question was very interesting. Let me see if I can find this here. Okay. JM says, is there a possibility of the other gems countering the time gem? That is such an interesting question, and here's why. I believe that what is going to happen at the end of this film has something to do with the time gem or the time stone, depending on, your nomenclature. But essentially, is it possible that all of the other gems could do something that counteracts the time? I would argue that it could. But time is like this really consistent thing. It's this part of the universe that kind of always needs to be there. And I'll give you an example. In Jonathan Hickman's New Avengers run, which preceded Secret Wars, the God Doom Secret Wars, an event happened where Captain America essentially gets this gauntlet and tries to utilize it to push back another Earth and do something crazy. That's not important. What is important is this. Under that pressure, all of the gems break except the time gem. The time gem disappears. And I truly believe that if you had to say which of these gems is the most powerful, I truly believe that time is the most powerful. So, reality, space, power, all of these things are very, very important and together formulate this incredible power over all of reality. But I think you might be onto something, JM. There's a very strong possibility that the weirdness that spins out of Avengers 3 and leads us into Avengers 4, because there's some really weird shit going on in Avengers 4. If you've been looking at the leaked photos, if you've been looking at descriptions of characters and stuff, weird things are going on. Strange things are afoot at the Circle K, Ted. And so I want to ask you guys, James, I want to know from you, do you believe that the time stone or gem could face up against multiple other gems? Like, what wins in that sort of a conflict?
Yeah, I think the time one makes a lot of sense. I liked what you said before we went. Can I say what you said before we went on? Yeah. How you think this is gonna? How you said this is gonna end really, really badly for everybody, and Doctor Strange is gonna intervene and use a time gem. and then that's going to screw up Avengers 4. I love that idea. I think that's a great idea. I haven't seen Thor Ragnarok obviously, but I love Doctor Strange. I want to see more Doctor Strange. I was surprised at how much I enjoyed that, and I didn't mind the ending of that where you repeated time over and over again. I thought that was kind of like whatever, it was fun, but I would like to see that utilized in a more serious manner in a lot of ways. And so I think I think ending the Infinity War on a very dark note would be fantastic for everyone on the planet, in the universe, because we haven't had that yet. And if you end it and then you have this time gem that can reverse things, but when you reverse it, not everything is manipulate time, and it's not, the things aren't back to normal, they're back to something, and there's versions of things going on. And then that could lead into like weird things are coming. We know that, like you said, there are strange storylines are coming up in the MCU down the road, and this could be the catalyst for all of that.
Agreed. Rob, what do you think? Time gem versus other gems. Time versus reality. You know what I mean? Like, what is it possible that Doctor Strange's ability to fix this whole problem will be offset by the other gems?
I mean, the idea in general of the time stone being the most powerful stone just is one that really makes sense to me, as like, again, like a lot of these other stones just seem to be like a lot of reference in power, like just overwhelming power. Again, there's the actual power stone, but they're just like, a lot of them just in general just seem to emphasize that they're really powerful in that type of way. Meanwhile, the time stone is powerful in a different way, though. It's like not really, it's gonna help you just defeat somebody head on. It's going to help you defeat somebody in different ways. So I'm almost wondering if Thanos knows this, that the time stone is maybe one of the most powerful stones, because one of the shots that we see in the trailer is the fact that he has the Infinity Gauntlet and he has two of the stones, which I believe is the blue stone and the purple stone, which is power and space. So
well, I'm so glad that you went there, because that's the next image we're going to go over. So I'll pull this up right now, actually, and transition it in. So that is the purple stone, which is the power, and then the blue stone, which is the space or the Tesseract. So the Tesseract is how he gets there, right?
Yeah.
And then you have the power. So essentially here, with two stones, and we know that he's like sort of stripping off the armor, right? This was something they talked about, that this is like a thing for Thanos, a ceremonial victory, that as he gets the gauntlet, the stones, he is going to strip away his armor as he no longer needs it. Mm-hmm. So right here, right now, he's going to have two of the stones. This is probably the majority of the big fights, at least in New York. He will have these two stones. What do you think? I just want to ask right away. This is the question on everybody's mind. Is he getting all six of them? Is he going to get all them Johns? I want to know, Rob. What do you think?
Well, again, we're mentioning the fact that, he shows up there and he seemingly has those two stones when he's in New York. And that's what was kind of getting at with Thanos and him knowing that time stone is one of the most powerful ones and one of the ones that could do him in. I think he's there in New York to try to get that time stone, because again, the Sanctimus Sanctorum is there, and the fact that both Doctor Strange and Wong, I believe his name is, are there with Tony and whatnot, trying to hold Thanos off in some type of way. And I feel like that's one of the big reasons why he's there in that movie, to get that time stone. Whether he gets it or not is probably not the case, I would assume, especially with what we're speculating the ending of Avengers Infinity War is going to be. But I believe that he is there and he's acknowledging the power of that time stone and what it can do to mess up his plans.
James, what do you think about this shot of him putting the gems on the gauntlet? What do you think about those two stones in New York, and will he assemble all six stones by the end of this film?
About time. That he got those stones. I love the shot. I like the idea of him having. I don't think he'll have all of them, because if he has all of them, what chance does how much of the movie is left after he gets all of them? Because this isn't like number 4 isn't a sequel necessarily. It's more of a continuation, right? Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah, so this story is going to basically end, and then the next one will be another chapter. So, how much time are they going to focus on him beating the crap out of 600 Avengers? Is what I want to know. I think he will not get the time stone. I'm just gonna say he's not going to get the time. No time. No time for Thanos.
Ain't nobody got time for that, Thanos.
Ain't nobody. No, but that's going to be the one that's going to go into the next film. So that's where I'm going. He's going to have 5 out of the 6.
That's interesting. So here's kind of my theory. I think he's getting all 6. I think he's getting all 6 of them, and yet something that Doctor Strange does will still allow them. Like, here's what I think is going to happen. Essentially, he's going to come down, beat everybody up, take the gauntlet, and yet something that Doctor Strange does, which will utilize the power of the Time Stone, but also his own magic, because Doctor Strange is incredibly strong on his own. He, with an Infinity Stone, I mean, I would say the 2 biggest guns we have, it's not the Hulk, guys. It's not the Hulk. It is Wakanda and Black Panther, because that tech, incredible. If it utilizes an Infinity Stone, whoa, that's some power. Also, Doctor Strange, knowledge of the multiverse, teachings from the Ancient One, and an Infinity Stone, whoa. Like, those are the 2 big guns that they got to worry about. So Thanos is going to come try to neutralize them. But what I think is going to happen is that Doctor Strange, with a spell, maybe even utilizing Scarlet Witch's power, which would be so sick. Little hint of House of M going on in there, right? He's like, oh, Wanda, you're incredibly strong. Perform this spell with me with this Infinity Stone, bada boom, bada bing. What's going to happen in Avengers 4, I believe, is this trippy, surreal sort of waking up from the false reality that they are in, with some House of M stuff, Avengers disassembled with Wanda sort of tearing them apart, and then eventually they're going to integrate, because Thanos is going to just have a completed gauntlet, be out in space somewhere trying to reformulate the universe, and all of our heroes are going to join a coalition with the Shi'ar, even though I don't think we have the rights to the Shi'ar, but like a lot of aliens, like the Skrull, the Kree, and take hints of Jonathan Hickman's Infinity event, and then they go out into space. And you were asking a very good question, James. You were like, well, where do they go from here if he has the full gauntlet? Like, that's not a movie. That's not interesting. But Thanos' Quest and Infinity Gauntlet, the reason Infinity Gauntlet is one of the greatest comic book stories ever written is because that formula that Stan Lee always talks about, where it's like the magic formula for superheroes is this. You put them in a situation where you cannot see a way out of it. You're like, there's no way they could win. And yet, because they're heroes, somehow they're going to do it. You just don't know how, which keeps you reading, keeps you engaged, keeps you interested. Now, in Infinity Gauntlet itself, Thanos' hubris is what defeats him, not other people's power. And so him taking off the armor and that sort of like thing where he's like, I don't even need this anymore. That idea is going to snowball effect into him being like, I don't even need my body anymore. I'm beyond that. And that's when Nebula will pick up the gauntlet and reset things and do things like that. But that is kind of my vision for, I think, where it will go. But I don't know if you guys could tell. I'm pretty freaking excited for this film.
I had no idea.
So I want to go into over-under, guys. This is going to be so fun, and feel free to play along in the comment section. I want to know the over-under on these characters dying, and I've tried to only put characters in here that have their own solo movies, just because I needed to thin it out somehow. Now, I want to be frank. I'm talking about Avengers 3 and 4. When it's all said and done, will these characters be alive? So, like, a lot of them probably won't die in the first film. They'll die in the second one, Avengers 4. But for all intents and purposes, I consider these 2 spiritual sequels. So, okay. So let's start with Captain America. Over under 43% chance that Captain America dies in the Infinity Wars. Rob, what do you think?
That percentage is a very interesting percentage. I I ultimately think that he probably won't die, but at that percentage point, I'm thinking like it might be like 50-50 because I feel like a lot of ways they might be still leading towards that moment from the end of Civil War where he gets killed. So I'm not sure if it's going to happen towards the end of it. It's completely not related to Thanos, but I'm going to go over that, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I do think that he's going to die.
Yeah, I tried to pick percentages that were like really tricky. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
James, over under percentage 43 that Captain America will die by the end of the Infinity Wars.
Dead. He's dead. Kill him.
Oh God, you're so evil.
Kill him. No, but look, in all honesty, kill him. Captain America's story's done. He had his origin story. He had Winter Soldier, was fantastic. He had Civil War, which was which changed the cinematic universe. He's done. He's over. Time to move on from him, and they're gonna have to. They have 20 years of movies planned out. I don't think Captain America is gonna play a big factor in those.
I would agree. I think it's over 43% that he dies. I could see him sticking around, but I think that killing him, allowing Bucky to take over, and having that redemption arc for Bucky as the new Captain America would be sick. Of course, I would love Falcon to be Captain America, but I just feel as though if you have the new Cap as Bucky and then you have Falcon, it's still the Cap Falcon team up, which is very cool. Plus, those guys have incredible chemistry. That scene in the car where they like hate each other, where he's like, "Can you put your seat up?" Nope. Like,
they can have like a rivalry.
Even if it's just one film of those two on an adventure, reluctant friends, you know what I mean? You still play the Ebony and Ivory thing. It's very cool. So I'm down with that. I think over 43%. We got mixed feelings from people in the comment section. Some people saying no way. Some people saying yes on Cap. So let's go to Iron Man. Over or under 63% chance that Tony Stark does not make it out of the Infinity Wars. James, I'll start with you first.
Over. They're all dead. He's dead.
Oh my gosh, you're so morbid.
So I'm going over. But again, okay, pick somebody that shouldn't die. I think, like I said, for Peter Parker's sake, for the sake of the team as itself, to learn and to grow, someone needs to die. The father of the team needs to go. Tony Stark is the one who started it all. It's been 10 years. Robert Downey Jr. is fantastic. You said earlier, let him live on as Jarvis. I'm okay with that. But Tony Stark, I think, look, if anyone's story's done, it's Tony Stark's. And he's had a fun ride. And for Peter Parker, especially now, after we've seen Spider-Man, to grow, he needs to just...
I like it. I get where your head's at. Rob, what do you think? Over or under 63% chance that Tony Stark dies?
I think it's probably the way everything's leading that's most likely that he is going to die. So I am going to go over. But like when we're talking about both Cap and Iron Man, I feel like they're the two main ones that just seem to inspire the heroes in some type of way. So I kind of feel like if one of them is going to die, I don't think the other is going to die. Because I feel like somebody's going to be there as the person that's going to be the leader and people to look up to. So like if Iron Man dies, which I do think that he probably will, Spider-Man will then be looking up to Captain America in terms of whatever happens in this movie. But at the same time, with Iron Man himself, I kind of feel like he's the type of character that's been through so much crap in these movies, and like he's been responsible for so many of the villains. He kind of like he's starting to make me think that he kind of deserves that type ending where he gets to have that Hawkeye ending where him and Pepper just get to go out to the to wherever and just live their life in whatever way, completely disconnected from everything. So I do think that ultimately that's where they're going to go, where they're going to kill him off. Yeah. But I also kind of feel like the character maybe deserves that type of ending, or that's the way the character could also be going. But I am going to go over.
Interesting. So here's what's funny. This is kind of like a hardcore Marvel fan answer. I'm going under 63%. I do think Stark will leave, but I think he will vanish. And I think it will be after they beat Thanos and after he learns a little bit about the Skrulls. And I think what's going to happen is he's going to vanish similarly to the way he vanishes in, or the way that Nick Fury vanishes after Secret Wars, and it's because, or after Civil War, and this will be because he has realized that the Skrulls may have already infiltrated Earth, and even though they're working with the Skrulls to defeat Thanos, that he will ex-nay on the Tony Stark nay because he wants to prepare for that invasion. So that's my answer. I think under. But I do think that it'll be smart for Disney and them to sort of let him breathe. Take Tony out of the picture for a while. The Jarvis idea is awesome. Like, make him the new Jarvis. That's kind of what they're doing with him now with Ironheart and those, books and stuff like that. So maybe you got a Riri Williams thing coming up, and you could kind of sort of establish her in there. Look, I think that the clear bet, what they should do is make Shuri, who is the sister of Black Panther, make her the new Iron Man. I mean, like, look, Riri's kind of a whack character. I don't really like her a lot, to be honest with you. But Shuri seems awesome. She's got a connection to royalty. She's already, she's a crazy, strong, awesome inventor. She's making these suits for Black Panther. I mean, that would be my suggestion. But let's go to Thor. Oh, by the way, very mixed in the comments. Very mixed. People are like, Tony's living, Tony out of here. You know what I mean? Like, people are mixed on that, and I get it. Look, Tony Stark has really made... He's the glue to this whole thing, man. Robert Downey is the glue to this whole thing. He allowed a lot of this stuff to work early on. But it might be time for him to go. But let's go to Thor. 30%, over or under 30% chance that the Odin son is killed by the end of the Infinity Wars. Rob, what do you think?
I'm going to go under for a big reason is that, well, two big reasons, actually. One of which, Chris Hemsworth still has... His career still hasn't really skyrocketed post anything other than Thor. And also just the way that Thor Ragnarok is being received as a film right now, I kind of feel like it's like, hey, the Thor franchise is kind of getting its footing now. So maybe now is the time to keep going with these and keep going with this type of direction for the Thor movie. So I don't think Chris Hemsworth's Thor is going anywhere. I think he's sticking around.
Yeah. James, what do you think?
30%. I'm just going to go right,
You're right on the money. It's over under, sir.
I'm going to go 30.1%. Is what I don't know because I've already killed off Cap and Iron Man. How many more?
Why don't you just go ahead and kill the Trinity? Just go on and kill the Marvel Trinity, you heartless man.
Now I haven't seen obviously this movie, and I have not seen Ragnarok. But Ragnarok obviously is, like Rob said, is killing it, and the critics love it, and the fans love it. It's making money and all that. But it just, if Thor dies, it's almost like an empty death for the cinematic universe as a whole, in a way. Like, it doesn't have the impact of a Cap or an Iron Man, is what I'm saying.
Yep.
And so now you're killing him for the sake. Whereas Loki, if you kill Loki at the beginning of this movie, then you're like. Because my one problem with the Marvel movies has always been there's no stakes. Like, it never feels like there are stakes in them. But if you kill Loki right off the bat, you're like, this guy means business. So that's why the Loki one will have a bigger impact. We know Thor's not dying right off the bat. So I'm going to go right at 30.1%.
All right, I can live with that. I'm actually going to go under. I have this strange feeling that Thor... While they might change his role a little bit, I really think he's got to just be the king. Like, I think he's got to take over for Odin. And what would be interesting is if you use him in a way that's more Odin-like, just sort of in a few scenes in a few movies here. And we're going to get to the last part of this video is where we talk about the 20 films that they talked about after in the Infinity Wars. But I think that it would be interesting to keep Thor around, but in sort of a grandfathery capacity. You know what I mean? Female Thor could be a thing. My pick is Tessa Thompson. Like, you're crazy, Marvel. She killed it in Thor Ragnarok. If you do not make her female Thor, you're screwing up. Not even that it has to be female Thor. That's just sort of what they did in the comics. There's other ways they could go with that. That would be really interesting. Heimdall is amazing. Making Heimdall the Thor, I'd be all for it. I really would be. So... there's all sorts of different things they could do with that, but I think that Thor is pretty safe. Let's go to Hulk. I think we're all going to answer similarly here, but over under 18% that they killed the Hulk. James, what do you think?
Oh, no, I didn't want to go first. You put a lot of pressure on me now.
Yeah.
I think I should say over, but I want to say under.
Yeah.
Under. I'm going to go under.
Yep. Rob, what do you think? Over under 18%.
I think I'm going under still as well. I feel like Hulk's just going to be around. I don't know if we're ever going to get this Hulk movie that so many people are talking about, but I still think he's going to be a factor in some way. He's going to join in other movies and always be the side player in all these movies to help, just get everything forward, and also to sell tickets because people love Hulk. You're not getting a Hulk movie, but you're going to get him in a Thor movie or in a Spider-Man movie or in a Doctor Strange movie. I don't know how Hulk would factor in a Doctor Strange movie, but either way, I think he's going to be around and he's still going to be a side player.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's weird. So I did 18% because I couldn't go lower than that because it would just feel wrong. But, like, he's such a lock. Like, Hulk toys they sell. Hulk on posters sells. How many times is Hulk going to fight the Avengers? Here's a hint. More times. So it's hard to see them killing out Hulk. I will say this. The only thing I'm actually going to go over, but I'm going to go over at like a slightly, like I'm going to hang out around 20%, which is still incredibly low. But the only thing that makes me think they would kill off Hulk is, well, there's two reasons. One, Mark Ruffalo leaks everything and he's the worst. So like the producers are probably like, can we kill him? Like seriously, can we
live stream?
Yeah. Barry, am I in trouble? But anyway, so also they did say that there's going to be a Hulk trilogy taking place in these next two films. So the second act of the Hulk trilogy is Infinity War. The third act is Avengers 4. So I can see a thing where like, okay, well, that's a nice arc for him. It's over. He's gone. I do think they will have a different Hulk, even if they do that. You could get an Amadeus Cho sort of thing going on. All sorts of directions that you could take it in. But I think there's a 20% chance. I want to kind of run through the next two so that we can get to the end of this and sort of wrap this stream up. But I want to know, over under 26% Spider-Man. What do you think, guys?
Way under.
Way under, for sure. Yeah, he's getting another movie. People love Spider-Man. You've only just got Spider-Man back on track again where everybody seems to love him. So he's not going anywhere. He's going back for more Spider-Man movies all over the place.
Yeah, it's hard to say that we. I mean, it's just right. He's a moneymaker. The only way that I see them doing it is to stick it to Sony if Sony doesn't sign that new contract, and they're like, "Oh, you really want to do a Sony Marvel Universe? Well, guess what? We killed Peter Parker in the MCU. What now, Amy Pascal? What now? Let's go to Doctor Strange. Over under 15%. Rob, what do you think? Over under 15%. Doc Strange dies.
For similar reasons to Spider-Man, I think it's under as well. He's going to have another Doctor Strange movie coming out. As to what type of state the Doctor Strange character is going to be in after this, I think he might be one of the characters that's kind of like his world's a little bit in shambles after all this.
Yeah.
But I think he'll be back. We'll get Doctor Strange too. So, yeah, I think he's definitely sticking around.
Yep. James, over under 15% Doc Strange.
15.75.
Ah, he's over. You're trying to kill everybody.
That's 15.7. He's going to die. It's like really low odds, but that means 15 out of 100 times he will die.
Well, that's terrible. Hey, real quick, I want to address the chat. Scotty, what's up, brother? Yeah, we are going to do the Last Jedi live stream after this. It's a long day of recording, dude. Me and James are recording like all day today. But we wanted to do the Infinity War trailer thing, breaking it down here. So don't worry, man. Obviously it's past 11, so the stream's late, but we are doing Last Jedi live stream after this. We'll probably take a little break, collect our thoughts. So let's just jump right into the last part. I'm going to skip over 0.5, guys. We're just going to go to 0.6. To close out this live stream, and thank you so much for everybody that's been in here. This has been a lot of fun. Yeah. I love nerding out about this stuff with you guys. It's awesome. But they have talked about how the Infinity War films, which end with Avengers 4, is a finale. It's a finale for the MCU in some way. He has used those words. Our Lord and Savior Kevin Feige has said it is a finale. But they have also said that they have 20 films rather, planned after Infinity Wars. And they're going to look and feel incredibly different, is sort of the things they keep saying. That's what the words that we keep hearing. Different, fresh, unlike anything you've seen, you know what I mean? Like all that kind of jazz. James, what do you think it means that Infinity War Part 1 and 2 are a finale? And what do you think we're looking at for the 20 films following?
I think it's been 10 years. It's time to wrap these things up, and that's why they're gonna kill off Iron Man and Captain America. I think, like I said, it's been 10 years. These stories have run their course. Superhero fatigue will become a thing. It's not now, but it will be. That's just how it works. There's going to be a point. So, excuse me. when we say, oh, we're gonna go see this movie now, like it's gonna happen. That's the nature of it. So if they finish it now, they're like, just so you know, everything we've been doing for the last 10 years is gonna end here. We all get excited. We go to watch it. Then like, so that you don't get tired, we're going to give you these movies, and all of them are going to be extremely different, and they're going to connect on minor levels, but not to what they used to. I think in a way is you're going to get a lot of individual films. Hopefully you get like the Miss Marvel trilogy and the Doctor Strange trilogy and the Ant-Man. Just bring Ant-Man and more Ant-Man, things like that. And they're not going to worry about the next team up, which will inevitably happen because money talks.
Yep.
But that's where my mind's at. Is I just think we're going to get individual films, which will be refreshing, I think.
Yeah. Rob, what do you think, man? What does it mean that it's a finale, and what do you expect for the 20 films after?
So yeah, in terms of the finale part, again, I feel like a lot of people's stories are going to come to a head. Again, we're going to lose, I think, a main character, one of the main characters. I don't know if it's Cap or Iron Man. Like I said, we're going to lose one of those characters, and I feel like a lot of their stories are just going to come to a close in a lot of different ways. And also, it's going to open up because they never used the word finale, but for Avengers 2, they were saying stuff like that. It's like, this is going to be another movie where it's just going to be pre Avengers 2 and post Avengers 2, where they were mentioning that the cast, like the group of the Avengers wasn't going to be the same from here on out. And yeah, that was kind of the case. But the fact that they're using the word finale just tells me that there's going to be an actual ending for a lot of these types of characters, and we're just going to boom our way into something else. And just the idea of 20 films, like, on first thought, that seems like a lot, but again, like as of right now, there's been 17 MCU movies, and we're still going to get Black Panther and Infinity Wars coming, so that's going to be 19 just right there, then and there. So 20 doesn't seem that bad, but again, it's funny that just yesterday it was announced again that Fox and Disney have again re-entered talks.
The pens are up.
The pens are up. So suddenly that 20 films doesn't seem too crazy, especially if you're like, hey, there could be 3 Fantastic Four films coming. There could be X-Men coming. There could be so suddenly that 20 movie slate that they're mentioning is going to get filled up pretty quick if this actually gets pen to paper and this deal actually gets done. So it's pretty exciting. And yeah, I feel like the way this is going to be a finale for a lot of the characters that we liked before, this new opening and this new fresh feel that they're talking about could be the reintroduction, I should say, of these other characters, and just introducing a new type of way of storytelling, maybe getting away from the MCU tone that we just know from all these movies. Maybe just getting out there a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with all that. I think you guys are onto it. I mean, obviously, finale means final, right? I think there's going to be some people in I think Feige even said he's like there will be people with capes and weapons and armor that don't make it back. He's basically saying that there's going to be some death, some consequential death, for sure. Real quick, I want to address this question from Scotty. He says, "Do you think they're already doing something different with shows like New Mutants or whatever that horror movie is?" So yeah, it's interesting that you say that. Now, first of all, that is Fox. Okay, that's Fox doing X-Men stuff, and Marvel Studios slightly different, but I think that you're onto something, right? The whole game is sort of changing. Logan's changing the game. Deadpool is changing the game. You don't have to spend millions of dollars. I mean, part of the thing that's crushing Justice League right now is not the money it is making. It is the money they spent to make it. It doesn't even make sense, really. These movies, like, look, ROI investment, like when you think in terms of investment and just getting your money back, like Fox doubling down on that formula with Logan and doing the straight horror and doing these things, that's the way to go. Find creative ways to tell this story. Now, what I think is funny is that those things are being successful, and what Feige means as a finale for the MCU is, to me, it's very simple. Not only are characters going to die, but the idea of these films being released in sort of a chronological way and sort of telling a story that's just like, like these little things are happening here. Because, guys, this is like not a long period of time. From Avengers to Spider-Man Homecoming, that's 8 years. And all the stuff gets jammed into this one singular timeline that they have had to figure out. It plays like this episodic, epic television show. These movies are like episodes. And so what I think he means by finale is they're done with that. They're not going to be doing that anymore. And for instance, what I think the 20 films are going to look like later on is like, let's just do Secret Invasion as one movie, not as an event that's trickled out through all these movies. One event. Annihilation Conquest with the Guardians. One movie. It's just one movie. Here we go. Secret Wars. one movie. So I think that is the direction we're going to go. It's no longer going to be it's like, look, we've established the sandbox. This is your entry, these 22 films. Now we get to just make these films, drop them, don't have to fill out the peripherals. You understand the characters in the world, and we're just going to tell our stories. So I think that's what's going to happen. And what that means is, like, dude, I don't know if this will ever be done again. It'll be 22 films that tell a complete story, a complete arc, this singular vision, this thing. I mean, it blows my mind. I've told a lot of people this before, and you guys are in here watching the stream. Love you guys. Love you guys. Stop saying what I'm saying before I say it. Sorry. But, guys, I'm going to write a book about the MCU eventually. Like, that'll be like 70-year-old Josh, you know, sort of in my den of nerds, right? Like, with all my nerdy stuff, just writing my book about remembering, first of all, when we watched film on like a flat screen, because things will be crazy then with virtual reality, but talking about this thing, this unprecedented thing that happened, where this guy, Kevin Feige, and these teams and these companies that all sort of worked together to create this thing we didn't think we'd ever get. It's unbelievable. 22 films. Unbelievable. So that is what I think they mean by the finale. That is what I think they mean for the 20 films afterward. And I'm super excited. I'm jacked up. I think that'll bring even more people into the theaters. Like, oh, you don't need to have watched all these movies to enjoy this. Let me fill you in real quick. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's what I think we're going on. But I'm going to wrap this stream up. We got a Last Jedi live stream to do, baby. So I got to get out of here. We got to take a potty break, and then we got to get right back to it because, hey, look, somebody's got to do it, right? So thank you very much, gentlemen that have joined me. Rob, where can people find you online?
So you can find me on both Twitter and Instagram at Robert E. McDonald. And also I've been whoring it out on James's show all the time. So download the Stardust app. It's a cool reaction app. You can do up to 30-second reactions. You can react to this Infinity War trailer. You can react to the Last Jedi trailer. When both those movies come out, you can react to that stuff. So it's really cool. And you can follow me at Rob Mack on that app.
Awesome. Rob, great dude. Hoping to get him on more videos on the Den of Nerds as well. But yeah, his presence on Stardust is really cool. He gets like free movies and stuff because he's so cool and popular on Stardust. So go check him out on Stardust and look for him doing more content on the Den of Nerds and on the Rebel Scum podcast. Speaking of the Rebel Scum podcast, James Rosili, where can people find you on the interwebs?
Find me at the Rebel Scum podcast or on the Last Jedi live stream, which is going to happen very, very soon right here. Twitter, Instagram, PlayStation 4. We can wipe out a Battlefront Petsa Fina. This is where you can find me.
Guys, thank you so much for nerding out with us about the Infinity War trailer. Tons of content going to spin out of this. I already got video ideas for days. I'm going to spend my whole day working on videos because I'm going out of town next week. I need some stuff to roll out. But seriously, thank you guys. This is why we do this. We love talking with you guys. We love doing this. So you guys are amazing. Thank you so much. Make sure to like the Den of Nerds Facebook page. Go subscribe to the YouTube channel. And check out thedenofnerds.com where we drop all sorts of cool content as well. And, man, let's go get them gems, eh? Let's get them. All right, everybody. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.